Hello.
Why haven't you Jim?
Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you. Gentlemen, I am pain.
Here's Johnny.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face, and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
You are one of us, Michael!
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Welcome to episode 22. Episode 22. I got to get these numbers straight. Episode 22 of Slice and Dice Dreadcast. This is your host, Joey Infante, coming in from Brooklyn, New York. I'm here with my co-host, Jim Backus.
What's up, everybody?
And our guest co-host for tonight, Christian Luciani of the Exploding Heads and TGIF13 podcast on the Horror Affiliate Network.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Welcome to the show, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. This is awesome.
Excellent. So for tonight, we're going to talk about a couple of 80s classics. The first being 1985's Fright Night, followed by 1986 Night of the Creeps. So I think we'll take it in chronological order here tonight. So gentlemen, how's it going tonight?
Fantastic.
It's going. Long days.
Yeah. We had torrential storms here for whatever reason. So yeah, it was sunny, but where I was just an hour north, pouring rain.
Shit, man.
Joey, the screens aren't flipping.
Whoops. There we go. Don't want to look at me for 2 hours, please.
That's right.
So before we get into the thick of things, a couple of other things going on here. So we just finished up with James, so we'll be back into rotating guest co-hosts. And next week's episode, we will have the Don Anelli coming on for episode 23 to talk about two of his favorites, actually, Mario Bava's Black Sunday, 1960, and what was the other one? Don't Torture a Duckling, Fulci, 1972. So that'll be up for next Tuesday night, I believe. So any other logistics aside from that we need to? I still got the socks.
You need iTunes reviews, then, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Let me check.
Guys.
I checked 2 days ago, and I don't think there were any. So
while you're checking, make sure you remember to ask Don about Pantera, because he seems to love Pantera.
I was like, oh man, I know Phil Anselmo's a dick, but come on, bro. What about Dimebag? What about every fucking album they put out, man? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, he's a dick, but the music speaks for itself, I guess.
Right, of course, straight out fucking helped change the landscape of metal, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be next week. We'll have the Don on. I sent him the headphones carrier pigeons, so he'll get that by next Tuesday.
Hopefully they find a log cabin.
Log cabin in the middle of the desert, smokestack. Just send me the smoke signal. I will know you received the package, Don. Thank you. So yeah, that'll be fun because I haven't seen Don't Torture a Duckling and Black Sunday. It's been a long time, so it'll be fun. Christian, you want to tell our listeners about your podcast that you do?
Yeah, sure, guys. Well, I do two. I guess I'm representing two. TGIF13. Yeah, what?
Rep?
I'm representing two. Yeah.
What?
That's what I got. That's what I got. Thank God it's Friday the 13th. We started in, I guess, November of 2013 and been going strong. So we're coming up to 4 years. Vince and I met each other in university, horror fanatics, and hit it off. We're in the same film class together, moved on with our lives, and then just decided to get together and start a Friday the 13th. And funny enough, Slice and Dice podcast. So we said we cover Friday the 13th and other Slice and Dice films. So I'm guessing on the right show tonight, I think, because this is the Slice and Dice Dreadcast. It's a perfect fit. That's it. It started as a commentary thing, but you can't watch it as a commentary because I edit it right down, and it's hopefully fast paced.
It's definitely fast paced. Definitely. I mean, and the episode's usually like what, 55 to an hour long. So shorter than most of the episodes on the network. So and you know what I noticed? The shorter episodes, it's like you could just breeze through them because like Exploding Heads, like 5 sit-downs, 6 sit-downs to listen to an episode sometimes.
Yeah. Well, Vince made a joke about that. So both of them are on the Horrorphilia Network. Exploding Heads, I'll make this short. We've been going since November to December 2015. A great show. Love doing it. Dave and Brandon are awesome. As much as we joke with each other whenever they're great guys and we get along awesome. And that, you're right. Those shows are at minimal 2.5 hours. And I think our longest was 4 hours and 45 minutes. So Vince joked, he said he started it on a flight down to Florida and the flight finished and they were telling him to get off the plane and it was still running. Pretty much said, fuck this. I got other things I got to do.
Yeah, man. It's lengthy, but when you go on a tear, you're on a tear, man.
We like to talk. We like to hear ourselves talk. That's not evident.
I mean, it's like a sitcom every week. You know what I mean? It's like you got your reviews, but then your opening segment, you got your fucking ball breaking, your shaming. So
that's it.
It works. It works so well.
We change it up every now and then too. But no, thanks. The Horrorphilia Network. If you're not checking out other podcasts on there, there's a ton. I mean, that's what I do. Like what you're just saying, I just load up a few, try some different ones, go back to the regulars that I listen to, and I just sort of rotate. I drive a lot, so it's perfect.
Yeah, me too. So I can't watch movies anymore in the car. I'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
So excellent. It's happy that we just. What's up, Jimmy?
Before we move on, I want to give a shout out to Big Jerry Herring over there in the YouTube video chat room saying, hey. Episode, 2 episodes ago?
Yeah, episode 19, 18, something like that. I think before 19. Jen's episode, maybe 19.
For some reason, he wanted me to take my shirt off. I said, I don't want to take it off yet, so I won't do that.
Take off your shirt.
Tell him Jeremy's coming on next week.
Uh-oh.
I don't know why. I guess I'm telling him that Jerry's coming on. I talk
to them on at the same time. Why not? Let them slice and dice it out. Shit. Oh man. So yeah. So excellent stuff here. Now, I was going to say something before, but I forgot. But let's get on to some more meat on the bones here. So before we go into the films, for our listeners who know, I asked this question to all our guest hosts. So basically, we live in a world where we don't know a lot of things, So where do you stand when it comes to, I guess, the supernatural, paranormal, ghosts, maybe otherworldly things like Bigfoot? Any kind of weird shit ever happen to you? What do you got for us? Where do you stand? How do you feel about this stuff?
Well, I guess I say I believe in dust particles. That was a callback to I was listening to the show, and I love that, like the Nightmare on Elm Street episode.
I don't love bursting people's bubbles, but you know what? It feels good sometimes. I was in a discussion today on Facebook. I don't know, talking about some picture. I'm like, come on, dude, really? Like, come on.
Dust particles.
But no, all joking aside, no, I believe there's certain things that, you know, I did tell this story on Exploding Heads, so I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this is a true story. I got out of school. I was on a commercial shoot. We were at this, I even wrote down the name because I forgot the name when I was telling the story, but it's called Parkwood Estate in Oshawa, Ontario. And I had no knowledge of this. I didn't know any history of the place. It was just this big old creepy looking mansion that we were filming at. And I'll try to make it short. I tend to ramble, so feel free to cut me off, guys. But we were grabbing equipment and whatnot, and I turn around and I look in the windows. I saw this old, like, sort of stoic looking, like I would say Victorian guy, but just bearded and looking stoic, and all in like old wardrobe garb, as I said. And I'm like, well, that's fucked. Must be for the shoot or whatever. Brought the equipment in, walked into the house, nowhere to be found. There's people all over the place in the house, and I'm like, oh, like, is this like a period thing or whatnot? No, it was a straight commercial. It had nothing to do with anything Victorian or anything else. There was nobody else there. And then that's when I was told, well, actually, this place is known for being haunted. I'm like, well, you got to be kidding me, because I just saw this guy. And they're like, yep, you're not the only one that's seen him. Like, that's a common thing. And then I went back to the prop truck, and was talking to the guy. The guy would not get off the truck. He was like this very superstitious older guy, and he's like, nope, there's no way I'm getting off this truck. Definitely not going to that house. I heard this place was haunted. I'm not leaving here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like now it was all starting to make sense. And only years later, when I started researching it, I think like a paranormal show, I don't know if it was a Canadian show, but they went and investigated that as a place of interest and whatnot. So it's online. It's called, like I said, Parkwood Estate, Oshawa, Ontario. It looks creepy from the outside, but that is probably my only real experience, but no question about it. I saw this figure in the window, and it was gone thereafter, and nowhere to be found.
Wow.
That's my story.
That's fucking crazy, man. I mean, I can't say that I've like seen a very distinct person or image like that. More quick, like I've said on the podcast, little flashes in this house. And Jim, we're gonna have a seance here, bro. I talked to my mother-in-law about this. She's down. My wife's not, but it doesn't matter. You gotta come up. You can stay in this exact room right here, across from the rabbis. They'll protect you. And
who's gonna be running a shindig?
You. Oh, yeah, man. You're the resident ghost hunter.
I know some people in the area I can get down to. We can make a good thing out of it. Check a mic. Motherfucker. I mean, realistically, it's not that far to get up to him. So sometime I'm gonna do an episode just from the house, and like he said, I had an old a podcast that I was doing when I met him, and different houses, but then we would do every now and again together in the same house. And those shows in the same house were so much better and smoother, and they were just better quality shows. And doing one episode with him in his house, that'd be awesome.
That would be fucking sick.
Well, you don't have to worry about Skype or Wi-Fi or any of that crap. It's just two guys, one mic. That sounds way sicker than
two guys, one mic.
I've seen that.
In the shadow of the Verrazano Bridge.
Darkness of the very, very black internet.
Oh, shit. So, yeah, I think that'd be interesting, because my mother-in-law thinks that her grandfather is not haunting the house, but protecting. and his presence is felt here. Now, I don't know. I'm definitely down to do some shit and get weird.
We'll get weird. If I'm driving all the way up there, we're getting fucking weird.
I hope so.
That's when the shirt comes off.
That's when the shirt and the Olaf nipples come out.
Yeah.
Things are going to get real crazy. All right. Sweet. So, yeah, we'll see where the future holds as far as the seance, because, we'll have to do that live on YouTube. So,
of course.
I would say before that, sorry, just to say that before that, I would have been like, oh, come on. Like, there was always a belief back there, maybe because of my interest in horror, but since most people are like, I got to see to believe, I would have been always like from that camp. And then that happened, and I'm very much about like, as much as like the bullshit and joke around with people, I also like to say like, no, trust me, I wouldn't, that's not something that bullshit. I saw that, I experienced that. So ever since then, I've been like, anything's possible. Like I'm all for it. But before that, it would have been like, yeah, until I see something, I will never fully believe.
Well, people always ask me, like when I tell them I've been doing this and I started when I was 9 years old, and they're like, oh, come on now. And they think you have to be like a, 30-some-year-old TV star to be a paranormal investigator or some shit. I'm like, no. At 9 years old is when I opened my eyes and saw my first full-bodied apparition. It made me want to get into researching and knowing and finding out what the hell I just saw and all these years. And people will ask me, so you ever see anything? You ever hear anything? I'm like, no, I've just wasted the last 22, 23 years of my life because I don't believe in something. Like, it's just so stupid. It's usually that's what it takes, though, is people need to see it to believe it. And even when they see something, they don't want to believe it sometimes, fear or whatnot. But I'm definitely not afraid of finding out. I just want to know what the hell's out there and get as much knowledge as I can. Too bad too many people aren't like that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes to the ultimate question: do you want to know, what is in store next? Right? That's an interesting question because we brought it up once on Death by Podcast. Mike brought that up, and I'm like, yeah, I'd like to know, but then and that's it. There's no mystery left. But do you want mystery?
Well,
do you want to know?
What's the saying? They say your childhood ends the second you're going to die or something like that. I think at that point you're kind of like, why the hell not? We know what life is. We know what we're here to. We know this part of it, I guess. But why not learn as much as you possibly can? And if nothing, like all the stuff that I've come up with over the years and all the evidence I've captured, all the places I've been, I still will never know everything, or I know this, I know that. All I know is what I experienced. All I know is what happens to me personally. But other than that, nobody's going to believe me. I'm just a person talking. But yeah, I say it's something that most people should try to at least grasp a little bit of a concept of what is going on outside of internet life, whatever the hell, however the hell you live it.
Sounds like a new sitcom, a new melodrama for ABC. My shitty internet life.
Shitty.
Claire Danes, she comes back. What was that?
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. Yeah. Oh
So
shit.
cool.
I think it's just funny because, like, if you're somebody who believes in religion, right? Like Catholicism, Judaism, whatever other main religions, I don't know anymore.
And other
Islamic and other. Like those are three biggies, right? So
that other box,
yeah,
the other box, right? Hail Satan. I mean, if you believe in those, that means you believe in something extra worldly, extraordinary. Ultimately, that lends its hands to ghosts and spirits and shit like that.
And again, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe the fear of being in limbo. If a ghost stays in limbo, and again, I'm I don't know because I haven't dedicated my my time or studies to this. It's just, you know, my thought process. So maybe that's the fear, that they feel like they can't believe in that because it's a limbo state. But I would figure if that exists, that would only help to further your belief or idea that there's something beyond.
Yeah. This
Very deep.
Yeah. I'm just like, is there something beyond? Like,
but that's the thing. You have to, even with all the, like I said, all the evidence I've captured, all the voices I've gotten answering my questions specifically, not just random shit, but actual, I'm asking in a dark room with only me in it. And even with all of that happening to me constantly, different replies to questions I've asked, like, are you stuck here? Are you blah, 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 something like that. I've gotten different answers. So what the, I still don't fucking know, but I've gotten answers. So there's something, there's something there. Who it is or what it means, I have no clue, but damn it, when you get that voice in your recorder and you know damn well it's not you, it's like, damn, there's actually something going on. Like, I can't stop.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that movie White Noise in the movie theaters and just being like, I want to fucking do this. Let me put the snow on my TV. Like,
Michael Keaton, Pittsburgh boy. Yeah, and what was sad about that is I was so disappointed in that film because I had such high hopes for it. They were doing like talk shows and it was really like good having other paranormal investigators on TV, and like I remember watching like Maury or somebody had somebody on about it. I thought the movie was going to be more about paranormal investigating, but then it turned like 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Spoiler. But yeah, it was a great idea, but I expected more out of it. But yeah,
oh. Better than White Noise 2.
Did not watch that one. So, you know, it's just funny because if people could be so devout and believe in these other things through no actual fact, why does this get so dismissed? I just feel like, because I ask my students a lot, and people are just like, as a collective, I feel like more people lean towards no and I don't know and being scared to know than the minority, which is like, yeah, let's see what's up, you know? So I guess when you have a collective in the world that might feel that way, it's always going to be one of those things that's just cast aside, not talked about, but yet at the same time, you get fucking some places no separation between church and state, right? So I mean, it's
that's what's so frustrating. This is one of the most frustrating fields I think I could ever imagine being in. You know, the people that like I personally have dealt with over the years, and I don't have a very high tolerance for just idiots and shit. And
how do you deal with me?
A bevy
well on this podcast.
There's just a bevy of just very, very weird and uneducated people in our field of paranormal investigating that, and sadly, I think they're like at the majority anymore, because the stuff that I get sent to me and the stuff that I see on these pages that I'm a part of, I'm like, really face palm crap. Just, did they really just put this on the internet for people to know that this is what they think? Like, are they that really? Come on. I actually am known for my other paranormal show for being too rude, I guess, or mean. Why? Because this is not something that I have to lie about. I know the truth of what I go through, and I just don't like seeing people that are just trying to get the next big, you know, push on YouTube or trying to fake people out with fake pictures or something like that. So I don't mind.
Like the Long Island Medium, right?
Yeah.
Is she a fraud?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Let's get to the bottom of this show.
Google, let's go. Long Island Medium.
we've just my views on psychics and whatnot, but I do believe there are certain ones that could be for real, but I've met a lot through traveling and conventions and investigating, and yeah, I'm still waiting for that one real one to come around and show me they know what the hell they're talking about.
Do you guys take this conversation?
Raptors?
Do I like the Raptors? Like Toronto Raptors?
Yeah.
All right. I just want to change the subject, okay?
No, because in the chat room we got a message from Jared Constantino. He says, "Side note: take that Nick hat off, Joey. If KP goes, I'm done." I only wear it because my head looks like a fucking nest.
Well, I don't know what I'm looking at. Like I can get like a 3D angle.
Hair there. It's like, what's going on? Are you bald? Are you not? You got this weird little fucking guy over here.
It's good. Well, the camera just went black. Even the camera doesn't like you.
It's a little patchy.
Even the camera said, "No, I'm not putting this on YouTube."
I got my cousin's
That's
wedding on Friday, so I'm waiting for a fresh shave.
There you go.
High tight one.
Oh shit. So all right, well, enough ghosts. Let's move on to some goblins. No, that's the next movie. Vampires.
Do you guys believe in vampires?
Ooh, of course I do. I'm a vampire.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. One time, I'll give a little side story real quick. One time, a long time ago, I was hanging out in the fields of the park with the most closest you can get to anything nature in New York City. Experimenting on a little things, psychedelicos. So I turned to my friend and I'm like, "I got to tell you something." And he looks at me. I'm like,
"What's this?
I'm an alien." I'm an alien. I tell him. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "I'm here on a mission from another planet. I never told anyone, but you're my best friend, so I really got to confide in you right now. Is the time to let you know." I went through this whole fucking thing, and he was just like blown away, and I was just like, "I'm fucking with you, bro." So I know not a vampire, but
yeah,
power of mind control, right?
I thought you were going to tell me like an Aunt Flo story, and then suddenly it turned into you telling. Yeah,
sorry, stupid story. I know.
No, it's fine.
But it was just like very sincere, And it just goes to show. I mean, if you can get millions of people to buy into things that do not have any, I guess, solid evidence. I don't know. Yeah, I'm an English professor. Horrible, right?
Solidarity evidence.
That's fine.
It's real. Like I told you that example before we went on the air of not going to the wedding, right? It's just crazy how a mind could be fucking brainwashed like that,
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's being dedicated to a rock and roll band, finding ghosts, or an omniscient God. I mean, ultimately we worship something, right? Horror movies, fucking rock and roll, right? But and I think that's part of the whole wraparound when it comes to religion and beliefs. We need to, as human beings, confide into something, no matter what it is. You could take any individual and they worship something. You know what I mean?
And there are people that worship worship vampire or the vampire lifestyle, whether it be the Gothic-esque offshoot of that, or maybe a more traditional approach, but it comes from somewhere. I think, I guess, and again, you're the English guy, but from a historical standpoint, doesn't it come from like maybe a disease of some sort, like of a cracking of the skin? So there's some sort of elements that I guess were probably embellished over the years to create what we've now know as the vampire, and of course make it more supernatural. But it comes from more of a disease, like a pale skin, a cracking of the skin if they were to come in contact with sunlight. These are the things I remember, whether it be from a vampire special or whatnot, like not an after school special, but you know what I mean, like one of those vampire weeks, and they would go in the historical story of what makes a vampire.
Right. I mean,
zombies too. It's before Romero, they basically came from an idea of illness that made people into like a zombie state. Really, just like it was enlarged of the brain, and it just basically made them like. But he created it into, oh, these motherfuckers are gonna come and start eating people, like you know what I mean. But it always comes from something. Things always stem from something.
Right. I mean, the whole thing with blood and the transfer of blood, right? I mean, sex definitely comes into play because back then, like especially in the 1700s into the 1800s, I think Carmilla was one of the first vampire texts, and then came Dracula, which was like the main one, and that was what I think late 1800s, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
But I mean that's one of the basis for all vampires, and Fright Night definitely pays homage to that because it has all those classic things, and a lot of people would be like, how did this person turn into a wolf? Like, dude, that's part of it, And then a lot of the mainstream stuff, I feel like cuts that part out of it. It's like, don't mix it up with werewolves. It's kind of like, so think about it. And a lot of vampire fiction and whatever you want to call it, vampire TV shows and movies and stuff, right? I mean, look at like True Blood, for example, extremely mainstream. He's not transforming into a werewolf, you know what I mean? But if you go into Dracula, that's one of the main things, the werewolf and the bat,
Yep.
But I think, like I said, you said something before, disease, right? Disease back in the day, especially, science wasn't where it was anywhere near, and that transfusion of blood, I think I remember fucking trying to think back to this Gothic literature class I took once, but there's definitely something there, think about it, right? It's like you kill, one consumes the blood, the other one regenerates. So like there's this life and death aspect to it going, and it's like a cycle. Pretty fucking weird.
It's also one person taking the power and the life force of another person and making them more powerful, which is what makes people like Dracula and these stories be like the head vampire, you know what I mean? The other ones are kind of just like, oh, well, I'm going to feast on you, but I'll make you immortal, but you're still never going to be me. So it is basically our life force.
It's like a fucking pyramid scheme.
All goes up to the one guy.
and of course, we can't forget Vlad the Impaler and the story from there. But I mean, for the actual vampire or the disease that I think got kind of mixed in with that, I just remember cracking of the skin and some other things, and of course the paleness and lots of blood, and of course the sexuality that I guess came into play. And you're right, the Dracula was like 1897, I think it says here. So like just before the turn of the century, and a lot of people were I think worried about the unknown, kind of no different than we were at the turn of the century, just 17 years ago, and where that kind of took us and where we are now. But I think it's just a different time. But ultimately, that's what their fears were. And this was a story, and what came from the Nosferatu, the movie, and Dracula, and the Spanish Dracula, and all the offshoots, was just like now a fictionalized version of that fear. And thank God, because I still watch those. My dad got me into those movies when I was young, and so I grew up on those. And I'm very happy to. That's why when you said what show this was going to be, I just said, "Yep, I would lovingly join," because Fright Night is a standout vampire film in my opinion.
Oh, I concur for sure. And to go back to the time and the place, right? We're talking turn of the century, and in literature, you know, sex still wasn't explored, right? You have existentialism going on, where you have these people that are like breaking outside of the social norms, thinking outside of the box. So like there's a change in the thought process in the world at that time, you know? So like now it's, you know, how are we going to incorporate sex into, you know, literature? I mean, it's always been there throughout time. It's always been hidden. It's always been hidden. For example, I remember reading a play from Britain, and it was like a 1630s play, came out like 1630 something, and it was about like cheating wives, you know, but it wasn't outright talked about, you know, the way it was written. So it was all subtextual. I mean, here, you know, it's not like he's like, yeah, Dracula was out there, you know, ramming people, you know, getting wild. It's like all hidden between the sensual touching and sucking and eating, rather than performing actual coitus.
So clean all of a sudden. And I guess maybe that's what, like, for the fangs and of course the penetration, I guess that's all alluding to the sexual act as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's the way around it there. But yeah,
Penetration of the stake through the heart, the penetration of the fangs through the skin, kind of stuff. And it's a lot of symbolism and a lot of just, it's all right there, but it's not right there, kind of. You know what I mean?
Oh, man, it's right up my alley.
Hey, that's all right.
Speaking of getting dirty, so, you know, I've seen Fright Night a bunch of times. I mean, I'm sure you guys have too. You know, this is one of the staples of the 80s. So, like, if you think about it, I don't want to jump the gun here, but let's just think about now. We're in the 1980s. Vampires have been around for over 100 years, one way or another. Now, at this point, we're talking 85. We're in the middle of Jason, in the middle of starting Freddy, right in the middle of Michael. We're in Slasherville right now. You know, we're in Exploding Heads territory. You know,
you're the slasher, baby.
You know, year of the slasher, right? So, then all of a sudden, Fright Night comes along. You know, and in the 70s, you had so many like vampire films, especially that were exploring feminism. And we reviewed a couple of them. And when I looked into these, I was like, holy shit, there was so much vampire. I think the 70s had the most vampire films, maybe after like the Hammer days, but there was just so many, and like not a lot of them not so good, you know, but a lot of them that, you know, like I said, explored that old trope of the lesbos in the vampirism. So, you know, coming off the especially in the early part of the 70s, then at the end of the 70s into the 80s, it goes into slasher territory. So now when Fright Night comes out, it's like, you know, how are we going to make a vampire movie that's not what's been done already, you know? So it takes everything that the vampire lore has, yet it's self-aware of, you know, I mean, look, what was the name? Peter Vincent?
Yeah.
We're talking about fucking Peter Cushing and Vincent Price, right? So, I mean, it's all there, the homages. So at the time, I guess, you know, horror comedy was on a rise too now. So let's do it. Let's make a vampire horror comedy, but yet so serious. Because, I mean, yeah, there's comedy here, but it's totally different kind of comedy than Night of the Creeps. You know what I mean? Where I guess that's more campy than comedy. But anyway,
and I agree. No, sorry. And we do this, and I apologize, guys, because I'm not used to not talking over people, so I apologize.
No, talk over.
I'm a Canadian, so I always say I'm sorry. But but you're right. So I guess as Dave Zed always says, thank you, Freddie.
Yo, I was blown away by this Zed thing. I had no idea. I'm from fucking Brooklyn, guy. I never heard of a Zed. You know,
it's just the pronunciation. I mean, we used to have Z growing up too, but it was something to start busting balls on the show. And that's what we did. But so, in case your last Jim, Zed is the pronunciation for Z in Canada.
Did you
Most
know
Americans are like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
I think I've heard that before.
So that's it. If you watch the Canadian Sesame Street, you would have heard that. But anyway,
It's like I say Earl for oil.
Oh.
My wife's like, "What did you just say?" I'm like, "Earl," because that's what they used to say back in the day. I try to keep that going. And socks, I'm like, "Where's your stockings?" Because that's what my grandmother used to call them. Stock. My wife's like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "Listen, you gotta keep the old traditions up sometimes." Where's your stockings?
Slacks. Get your slacks, your trousers. Throw them on.
And the refrigerator is the Frigidaire.
The Frigidaire.
Yeah, because back in the day, that was the only brand. It was just a Frigidaire. So that's what my great grandmother called it. You know.
No, we do. I know Frigidaire. It's just funny that that's what it was.
Yeah. So you got to keep up with the just like I'm trying to keep it going. Fright Night was trying to keep it going.
That's it. Yeah, we'll always bring it right back to Fright Night. Somehow this will always relate back to the movie in question. But so horror comedy started, but I don't think this is wacka wacka horror comedy.
Not at all.
This just happens to have a good sense of humor because of the good writing. I think it was good storytelling, and it happens to come out of the characters, the scenarios, the ski mask joke. Like you were talking, we're right in the middle of Slasherville, and Peter Vincent makes that joke about all the public want, or all the youth want is a guy in a ski mask hacking up young virgins. And it's funny. Wacka wacka. Ed, his friend Ed, who I got to tell you, if it's a first time watch for people, might take a little warming up. Hard to get used to. I showed my dad this way back in the day, and he couldn't watch. He's like, that Ed guy's driving me nuts. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Stephen Jeffers. We talked about it whenever he.
Yeah.
976 Evil. We're like, it's the same fucking character in every movie.
I think he went to porn after, right? I think he went into gay porn. Yeah. And he's the same there too. You're so cool,
fucking annoying. It's like, dude, just get away from me. I had enough. Get off my ass.
Brewster.
Relentless.
Funky Brewster.
I grew up with the movie, so I'm way more forgiving of it, and he doesn't bother me at all. I find it kind of weird because he's so quirky. I think it works because everybody else is such a stereotype. He just looks like that geeky kid in school, and so it works for me. But I remember my dad being like, "He's freaking annoying."
There's actually a scene I was watching where Amy, Amanda Bierce's character, turned looking at him, and he like does his like laugh thing, and she just busts out laughing. You can see the side of her face, and then like, the camera cuts, but you can just imagine these motherfuckers laughing in this kid's face like all the time. That would suck.
Speaking of her, Amanda Bierce, she was just on the Married with Children podcast on the Horror Affiliate Network. Shout out to them. That was really insightful. She talked about the biz a bunch and a little behind the scenes stuff. So if you're interested in Married with Children, check that out. And this is one of her rare featured films. So this was 2 years. They filmed in, I think, 86 and then went into 87. So this is 2 years, maybe 3 prior to Marcy Darcy. So she's a youngster.
When you think of Married with Children, you think of Marcy as the the married or older neighbor woman, with her and Steve, they're all married couple, but in this she's like a fucking teenager.
She's a dame here.
You guys ever see Fraternity Vacation? It's like a teen comedy. She was in that too, and I remember I think she plays like a sexy, I don't know if she's a escort but it's like a teen sex movie, and she has a sexy role in that too. And
what was that called again?
Fraternity.
When she gets vamped up in here and all of a sudden busts out long hair, it was like, whoa, okay.
Who's
that?
And that's where they bring I was going to say they bring the sexy back, and I'm sorry, but they do. They bring that whole, you're talking about the eroticism and like the vampires movie, and the Daughters of Darkness and all the ones you got in the 70s, and that was a page right out of that. So this movie paid homage to like the classic ones from Universal more so, but I think it was taking a piece out of all these different vampire movies. Like, the Van Helsing was, of course, Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. Beautiful. Love note to that before love notes were what we call love notes. I mean, they're just the new vampire movie that came out but there was a handful in the 80s. And, you know, I think The Lost Boys gets a lot of love, but I'd say Fright Night is my favorite. And I love Near Dark too, but Fright Night is probably my favorite out of the batch.
You know, rewatching Fright Night now, you know, like I said, I've seen this movie a few times since my childhood, right? So, but like watching movies, you know, post grad school, and especially this past year where it's like now I'm like really analyzing film and shit. It's like, wow, I was really, really impressed. And I'm not gonna give my rating yet, but I was just, this is the best viewing of it for me, hands down.
Dead air, no dead air, no dead air.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
You sounded so insightful right there, Joey.
Oh.
It's great.
Yeah. As we're waiting for him to kick back in, I'll add my, so watching it this time as well. My daughter. Oh, I think you're back.
Am I back?
You are back.
There you go.
You tell your story. I was going to tell an offshoot of what you're about this
I
view.
don't fucking remember.
You're talking about this view.
About?
How insightful it was.
Yeah,
How was your favorite view?
Just the way it was, like, especially what you said, the writing and the storytelling here was prolific and hand in hand with the way, not, I don't know if I would say editing, but more the rollout of the film, the pacing of the film, especially like even in that club scene. I mean, some people might say, oh, you know, he just like exposed himself and all this shit. But like, if you really look at his character and where he's at, it's like this kid is driving him fucking crazy. It's like, to him, he's like a fucking mosquito that he can't get away. And it's just like, that's it. He just lost his composure now. You know, he went from being, I guess, well, so now this is a whole new door that opened up to me, because apparently there's some subtextual homoeroticism going on in this film. I did not see that at all until I read an article about it. I was like, what? I think this is just somebody who took Joeyism to a whole nother level.
Like, well, shed some light, because are they saying between Brewster and Chris Sarandon, the vampire?
Well, basically what it's saying is, okay, so I didn't pick up that the two of them were a gay couple, except that, well, were supposedly, that was their,
he's living there, yeah,
because they don't outright say it. You get the line from the mother that's like, oh, he lives with his interior decorator, oh, he must be gay or something like that, right? But like, okay, that's the one little thing that I got. And I mean, like, what, I don't know, did you guys pick up on this?
I thought the same thing, but then, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, there's little things here and there. You know, he puts his head on his shoulder. He comes up, you know, there's those little looks. It's kind of like, oh, he's your protector. You stay safe and nobody finds out who you are. And definitely see it, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think maybe this was just one of those movies that it was like, this young boy, right? Like, let's look at the opening scene. You have him and Amy in bed, right? So him and Amy are in bed, and he's trying to get it with her. You know, they're both virgins, and she doesn't want him. Okay. So he goes, he looks out his window. Next thing you know, he sees two grown men carrying a coffin next to his house. And now the girl wants to get with him, and he's ignoring her. Yeah, because there's two fucking grown men carrying a coffin next door to him. Not because he wants to bang the dude. What the fuck? How do you get that? How the fuck do you get that?
No, and if they're, again, I was forgetting that they're probably talking about obviously his living guard or protector, but then why is he so enamored? Why does he have that picture of the woman that's obviously gone that Amy resembles, and now he's fixated on getting Amy and bringing her in? So, yeah. I mean, you could say that they said that about a lot of 80s movies when they look back at it, but I mean,
this is no Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Yeah, this is no, that had Probe, the game Probe right in there.
Things I've seen
the shot.
and watched.
Assless chaps and all.
A lot of we talk about how like the sexuality of vampires throughout the years. They actually the stuff that I've seen and people I've listened to, they say they don't have a or straight or gay or bi or anything. It's just sexual appetite. You know, that's pretty much what it comes down to. I think with this, maybe, you know, it is whatever it is, whatever they want to do, whoever they want to be with, whoever they want to take, they take. And that's probably what people can misconstrue as gay or straight, I guess. But I think he's just open to party.
I don't know. I've never really, like I said, I never picked up on any of this. I'd never thought about it once, and any of my viewings, even this viewing that I looked at closely, did not even think about it. Read an article, I was like, what? I pulled this article up online. Fright Night, an analysis of sexual identity, also vampires. And I was just like, just blown away at the absurdity of this. You know, it was just like, I mean, come on, it's just I don't want to go reading into the article, but it was just such a far reach, you know. Did you guys, where's my notes? Hold on, I didn't even bust out the book.
We brought up the club scene.
Yeah,
I want to give a shout out to the first security guard that from Friday the 13th Part 3, the biker.
Ali. Yeah.
Awesome. Also, now Jerry, right? So let's take him. Okay, is he gay? Right? Let's take a look at him. He's trying to get fucking Amy, and on his wall is tons of chicks throughout his hundreds of years or whatever, you know? So how is he gay? Right? I don't get, literally the article was basically saying that, you know, what's his name? What was the friend's name? Evil Eddie. Yeah. Evil Ed is gay and hiding all his feelings because when he is by himself, he's like pathetic and lonely and confused. And then it says something like, you know, the kid is chasing after a man next door, and then he is basically using the girl as bait to get him. So it's basically the three guys and Billy, his, you know, interior decorator / we'll get to him in a minute. They were all gay.
Yeah, that's a reach. It's just a story, and that's a reach. He's right about Ed, but that's because Ed was gay. Real.
Maybe.
I mean, and I'm all for those analysis and look backs, but that's a reach.
I mean, listen, that's how somebody interpreted it. You can't take that away from him because there is evidence to back it up. But I think, you know, Tom Holland going into this wasn't thinking like, let me have some homosexual subtextual undertones throughout this whole film. No, I don't think that's what happened. I think it was just like, you know, a coming of almost like not American Pie, a Last American Version meets fucking, you know, a vampire movie, right? It's like a John Hughes film.
I love the Last American Virgin shutout. That's one of my favorite teen comedies ever. That's awesome.
One of the best endings.
Yeah. Phenomenal. I cried, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Every time. Every time. Then they were trying to say like, oh, because they were carrying the coffin, it's a symbolism for homosexuality and being in the closet and alone. And I'm like, come on. They're saying, now this is a question I wrote down while I was watching the movie. Why is he always eating fruit? What do you think about that?
Huh.
I wrote down Adam and Eve, maybe, you know? Adam and Eve, maybe it's like has something to do with eating the sin. I don't know. I didn't really get to ponder on it too long, but it's a question that I thought about. Why is he always eating the fruit? You know?
Yeah, and you stumped me because I just thought of it as a cool factor that he can eat right through the core, but I didn't go into the actual metaphor of what that could stand for. But no,
you know,
what does the color of fruit mean in symbolism and what state it was the ground?
Exactly what kind of fruit he was eating. Was it a passion fruit or was it an orange? You know,
I definitely saw an apple in there. So yeah.
Well, if it's an apple, then we're talking biblical here, right? We're talking Adam and Eve, the forbidden fruit, right?
Adam.
But another thing question I wrote down when watching this was, what's up with his boy Billy? You know, because he can walk in the day. Did I miss a reasoning why?
They never go into that.
No, see that is a major issue I have with the film, because I think everything else up to that point all falls into place, and then all of a sudden it's like, how can he walk in the day? You know,
They reference it. They say exactly what you just said. Well, he could walk through the day, so he must be human. And then, of course, we get the reveal later in the film, which proves otherwise.
Well, what movie am I thinking of? Underworld, the hybrid, who was a mix between both the vampire and the werewolf and lichen. He could walk in the day, but yet he had the power. Like he was a hybrid of both. Something like that or something. I don't know.
It was just
were there daywalkers in the original Dracula? It's been a long time since I read Dracula, but I don't recall.
I don't recall either. You know, I think I just remember, like, not Dracula, but some vampire thing I watched where it's like, when you wear the ring, you can walk in the day.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was from.
Those are all the movies that do offshoots, yeah. They decide to steal. Well, okay, sunlight's the main thing, but everything else, sunlight, and they drink blood. Everything else, garlic, fuck it. This, you know, and they came up with their own rules.
and you know, another thing I started thinking about the character, Peter Vincent, right? The article saying that he was gay too, because
I think it's one big homophobic person just writing an article.
It could be. Well, they said because he's think about his character, right? He's like this scared, mousy character. Yet on TV, he plays this machismo vampire killer. So they're trying to say that he was gay too. What the fuck? Come on, that's just his whole character. The whole point of his character. God,
it is interesting with the retrospective, but I never once. I'm with you. I never once felt that. Even in this view, I watched it with I try to get my daughters into horror films and my son, who's really young, but he likes scary movies. And this one, although they have a few little gory moments there, you know what? Really, this would be PG-13. No,
right.
No question.
Incredible, though.
Sorry?
Incredible in this movie. I love the morphine.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, well, practical, man. Practical, and then the visual effects were done by an actual good visual effects artist. Like, I mean, even the way that they did the bat, the transformation into the bat, where the sunlight hits him, and then it cuts to him jumping and flying, and then it cuts to the shadow turning into beautiful old school mixed with new school, and just well done. And that's what, like they say, they take those little elements. He Nosferatu's out. He does the old up, vertical lift up, just right out of the original Nosferatu. And there's all these little bits of information like that. I love how Peter Vincent has his props, and that's how they go to try to do the holy water thing, and then he notices, of course, he's not casting a reflection in his mirror. I thought that's good writing. That gives depth to the character. That's just not something cheap. Like you just saw, like there's no mirrors in there because why would there be?
Right.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
They had to keep convincing him to come and help because they thought maybe he wasn't just an actor, but he actually believed in this kind of stuff. And then he kept trying to back out. They're coming back out, coming back. Why do you think he kept coming back and trying to help him, even after knowing the real vampire that I could die? I'm old as shit. Why do you think he keeps coming back to help?
Because
he's just an old actor.
And he was coming out the closet. Maybe it was. Maybe this fucking guy that wrote this article's right.
And this was him coming out and him actually embracing his gayness, is what you're saying?
Maybe, man.
from a metaphorical standpoint. I again, like, okay,
And
there might
I
be
will
something.
post this article online. I just pulled it up. Sorry,
Yeah.
Christian.
That's okay.
I will put it on the website.
Interesting. I never thought that. I just thought he just realized. Well, he said he'd do it for the money, but then he came back to help him because he realized the girl was in trouble. And now there's innocence in trouble. What I noticed this round, and I never noticed before, and any viewing ever had, is how did Charlie Brewster know where he lived?
How did he know where? What's the name?
Where
Right?
Peter
didn't go to
Vincent
Peter
lived.
Vincent.
Studio.
No, but he goes to his house later to tell him that he's got Amy.
Hmm.
And I that's when I was like, I'm like, wait a second. He didn't go to the house. He went to the studio, and then somehow Amy and Ed figured out where he lived and went to his house. But Charlie never went to his house. Charlie just shows up after the nightclub scene, all distraught, and says, "You got to help me get Amy."
Interesting. I mean, I guess it would be the assumption that they told him where he lived, Amy and Eddie.
It's a plot thing. It's just I noticed that. I go, wait a second, how would he know? But again, watch this movie dozens of times. I've watched this a lot, and I never figured it out until this time. But again, it was watching that with that critical eye. What can I pull out of this that I could add to the show and talking with you guys? So,
They didn't have smartphones. They didn't have
white pages. I want to go back to that scene in the club, right? Because I mentioned earlier, I think, first of all, I think that scene is awesome. I mean, the acting there is great. The chemistry between Fungal, what's the name?
Sarandon?
Amy.
Chris Sarandon and Amanda Bears, like they just have, you just like could feel the magnetism, the way it looks. Like it's dark, we're in a club. It cuts across. Next thing you know, all hell breaks loose. Now, I mentioned earlier that this guy like lost his cool. Have you ever like second guessed why he would blow his cover? Have you ever second guessed like why he's obsessed over catching this kid? Why does he, what is his motives here? Why didn't he just take Charlie out? You know what I mean? Do you guys question these things throughout the film? Like his being? And his motives, what he wants to do with Charlie? Is he just toying with him? Do you think he really wants to not kill him? What do you guys think?
Well, I think yes, he wants to kill him, but if he just killed him, we have no story. So they play with that angle. So it's more of a toying with him so that we can develop this. And then he finds Amy, and then that's his fixations on Amy from that moment forward. And then Charlie's just, I'm not too concerned about him because now I've got Amy, and then it leads into the inevitable climax. But I think he's so arrogant that he thinks he's going to easily take out Roddy McDowell and Charlie, and they're just going to squash him like a fly. And of course, it doesn't go that way. Right. So I think there's arrogance there as well. And I think he said he was going to give him a chance to forget me. Like they have that scene where he's holding him by the neck and he's kicking the machine in his bedroom. He's like, forget about me, Charlie, and I'll forget about you and whatnot. And then of course he's on him. He can't forget about him, and he wants to. So I think they progress the story believably enough. So just when you think like, why won't he kill him? Then that's when they call to say, hey, we're going to bring him over to prove you're not a vampire. And so then that then leads to the next scene. And then that's when his fixation on Amy starts, and that leads it to the next part. So I think they do a great way of progressing the story for it to be believable. So he had that option, but he said like, that was when he was like, forget about me and I'll forget about you. And then I'm going to kill you tomorrow night. And then, again, good storytelling in the sense of keeping it flowing and believable as it progresses.
And it also has like a little human aspect to, Jerry's character, because even though he's a vampire and he could squash him like a fly, Charlie at first, he doesn't, just forget about me. I forget about you. Let's move on. Right. But he's a kid, man. He can't do that. I bet if he was an adult, he would have turned the other way real quick. But that's that, curiosity of and innocence of a child. Because he really, at the core, I mean, yeah, he's trying to get laid, but he's still a kid, Reminds
me of that movie. What was it called? With Shia LaBeouf. What was it called?
Disturbia.
Disturbia, yes.
Disturbia. Kind of has that kind of feel to it. A neighbor comes in, he's doing some stupid shit, crazy shit over there, but you can't prove it. Nobody believes you, and you got to take it upon yourself. It's pretty much the same premise, I think. When I'm thinking back to it, the whole movie is pretty much identical.
Yeah,
and then
it is.
Other than that, the ending of Fright Night is basically a mirror of thing, basically. And
So basically all that stuff is mirroring Fright Night. Because it's all
exactly
Fright Night. All right.
Yep.
Again, I mean, this in the 80s, I don't know the exact time frame. I think Lost Boys was 84.
Oh, Lost Boys is 87, I believe.
87. Near Dark, 88 or 89, I believe. Later. Late 80s for Near Dark.
I think 80 Dark. Near Dark was 87 too. But don't quote me on that. But they were both after Fright Night.
Near Dark is 87. So, Fright Night kind of like paved the way then, I guess, for this new reinvigoration into the vampire genre again. Because at that point, everybody's fucking sick of Freddy, sick of Jason, sick of Michael, and they need a change up in the genre. I see the finger getting pointed at me. Can you hear me?
Nobody's sick of Nobody's sick of Michael.
Oh, nobody's sick of Michael. Sorry.
No one's sick of Michael. Yeah, you could see that there. And could we talk about that? Like, I mean, look at that cover art.
Phenomenal.
Dave Z said he hated this cover art. That's why he never watched this movie. This is fucking phenomenal cover art.
Oh my gosh.
Phenomenal.
Cover art is not like it used to be. I mean, just like albums,
Yeah, man. That's perfect. The perfect way to say it. Like,
everything was computerized now. I think that's what the problem is. Just like with practical effects, this shit isn't hand drawn anymore. People go on a computer and making it. Doesn't have thumbprints by artists anymore.
Very true.
Like the band Fish. I don't know if you're familiar with them. But every show they have different posters done by artists. There's like a handful of artists that they use. So like people always like the Pollock is the number one. He's the number one artist of them. Like his are always worth the most. But they're all hand drawn, real deal Holyfield. No, computer animated shit. And CGI, not a fan of it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe it's easier to sit at. I don't want to shift off topic, but I guess this kind of is an important topic for our genre here. When I see the CGI blood, usually it's most times it's a turnoff for me. Yeah. I don't know about what you guys feel, but I mean, then it comes to why don't people go with the practical anymore? Why is a majority going with CGI? I think what it comes down to is maybe cost.
But not really, because the indie films are doing the practical. Not all of them. Some of them are doing the shit CGI. But like for The Void's a perfect example. Practical effects, again, phenomenal, beautiful, and that wasn't expensive comparatively. So I'm hoping we're going to see a turnaround, because I think there's a lot of horror fans making horror movies for horror fans, and I think we might see a shift backwards. Because if you compare what we say here in Fright Night and any of those 80s movies for that matter, and then compare it to Underworld that you brought up earlier, Jim, there's no comparison. Yeah, they could just throw a shitload of vampires coming and battling against a shitload of werewolves, but you're lost. You're kind of just like, okay, we've been there, done that now, because every movie has 100,000 people running at each other and about to do battle. But this shit was cooler, and it was just someone creating it like by hand, sculpting, and then creating it from there. Sometimes it works when it's a combination of both, but most times we could spot CG right away and something about practical.
the werewolf transformation was incredible because I think it might have been 5 stages of just makeup and effects and all of that prosthetics, and it just looked crazy. It looked great. You know,
wait, we're talking about what? American Werewolf in London? I'm confused. Werewolf transformation?
When he turns back, when he turns from the
wolf. Oh yeah,
guy,
Evil Eddie. I forgot. Yeah. I keep calling him Evil Eddie. I don't know why.
Sounds like a disc jockey from the 60s.
Evil Eddie here, spinning your spooky hits of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Watching it now, I was still like, holy crap, that looks incredible. Like it looked really, really good. And props to that.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's what. Sorry.
No, I yammer on. No, but that's the problem. I'm just going to keep yammering. That's why I love this movie as a kid. Like I was like, this movie's fucking balls out crazy with these effects, like that werewolf transformation. And Chip said, like I still love it to this day. But that's what I'm like. This looks amazing. Like, look how great these effects were. As a kid, I was hooked on this movie. I thought it had some of the best effects I'd ever seen up at that time, just because of what we were seeing.
And I think that's why we go back to a lot of these films like The Thing and on constant rewatches, you know, like The Thing is like a yearly rewatch for me, you know. I mean, I don't know about you guys, and I think it has to do with the practical effects. Even Nightmare, the horrible ones, Part 5. I'd rather watch it than a lot of the movies I've watched so far in 2017.
Well, no, and I can see that. Freddy's Dead, I'll say no way, but I mean, I can definitely see that. The thing is a personal favorite of mine. It's actually one of my all-time favorite films. So I'm with you, but yeah, and I think that's it. It's not just the nostalgia of it being from our childhood. I think there's something to be said about the craft that went into everything about the movie. Now everything's so matter of fact. Like, yeah, we could do that. We'll just do it in the fucking computer. Yeah, who cares? We'll do that. There, they had to actually think, how the hell are we going to create this? This is why the original Star Wars movies had that magic to them. These horror films that we're talking about had that magic to them because they really had to say, how are we going to create this from nothing? And really make this work and give it weight and make it feel like it's there, sharing the same scene with these people. And that's what's kind of missing now. I mean, they're getting better, but there's still something to be said about these old school flicks for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you know, think about it. You have these guys, you know, that are pioneers in the FX industry, but like, do you ever hear about new FX guys? Nah.
No.
You know, somebody needs to get back in the game, get gooey, yo.
That's it. I mean, KMB is probably was it KMB? Yeah, they're probably like the last. Those guys, like they're the last of the name ones that you would think of.
Ones.
We're still talking about Tom Savini. I don't think he's done about Savini. Yeah,
still talking about that fucking headshot from Maniac. Holy shit.
Yeah, man.
You know, but yeah. I think but you're right though. The practical's definitely making a comeback without a doubt. But like, I mean, I review some of these like Uncorked films, you know, Uncorked Pictures, you know, that production company or distribution company. So like, they pick up tons of movies. Handful of them are good. A lot of them are bad, you know. And what are they full of? Fucking CGI horror movies. You know, I mean, how many, like, the girl from The Ring, right? How many times are you gonna make your ghost look like her? I just reviewed a 2017 movie, right? The ghost was a spitting image because I watched that and then I watched Rings right after, not even thinking about it. And I was like, holy shit, it was the same fucking girl. And I think I gotta actually do a bloody bits on it. No, maybe not. I don't know, but no, I don't know. Anyway, fucking. When I talk about it on Death by Podcast on my list, I'll tell it more. But it was the spinning image of the girl from The Ring.
Well, that's it. I mean, they're running out of ideas, and they're just regurgitating things that have scared audiences. And you know how many, this was the big mouth, the mummy mouth is I think Bill Casanelli calls it, where the mouth grows and people are screaming and the eyes roll back and the mouth grows. That's becoming like a trope now. All those. I have nothing against the Annabelle movies. I'll check anything out. I try not to go in with a preconceived notion. Sometimes it's difficult, but I'll try to give everything its fair shake. But then when something just comes across absolutely positively generic from frame one, I get lost. I can get lost within a minute and just be like, okay, I'm done. But
I've also been turned around during movies where the beginning I was like, God, this is gonna be the worst movie I ever watched, and I'm like, holy shit, that's pretty cool. Oh, okay, that's nice. Yeah. Oh, sweet. So yeah, I'm like you. See, Joey refuses to watch most stuff. I will watch pretty much anything and just say, hey, if it sucked, it sucked. I've watched enough shitty movies in my life to say, oh, I'll just forget about it. But there's that one chance where something's going to be like, that was a pretty good film.
Yeah, I don't know what your hate on for Hollywood horror is, because at the end of the day, you still got your favorites to go back on. And
of course. I mean, it's not hate. It's not like I hate it, but like I'd rather watch an Italian horror film that I've never seen before than watch Insidious. I've never seen Insidious. I hear it's great. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I hear it's a good one.
Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah. I mean, I got the DVD, $3.99. It's just a matter of getting it in there. It's not like I don't want to watch it, because I just watched The Purge and loved it. When in my head, it's like, fucking, I don't want to watch Ethan Hawke in this fucking home invasion movie. I'm not, crazy about home invasion movies. So like I go in with a preconceived bias. What
made me love Insidious much was,
no spoilers, please. I know nothing about the movie at all, except it's, I think, a haunting thing.
Nothing at all?
I don't know anything about it.
It's fine.
I don't want to know nothing about it. It's going to happen this year, trust me.
What it's about, I actually went through as a child, and I could relate to it. And this was kind of like a real good take on it. And anybody can do it today if you read up on it, you can practice. But and then what they show to me is kind of like, when I'm doing my paranormal investigating, is this kind of just like that? Because my belief system is we're basically just parallel levels of existence. That's why they can break through the veil sometimes to communicate, to be seen sometimes, to be heard sometimes, and vice versa. I think they can hear us the same way we can hear them, and I think it's distance. And this movie, Insidious, it just does it really well. So I would definitely recommend watching it quickly.
Yeah, quickly. Before you spoil it.
I hate not being able to spoil it. I hate it so bad.
That's why I say quickly.
Quickly, put it on now.
Well,
put it on. Me and Christian talk.
We'll just all watch it together. We'll do a commentary.
That worked well.
So talking about this, you guys see the sequel? The direct sequel to this? Have you seen it? Fright Night 2?
I know. I actually just bought it from a bootleg on one of those groups. I don't know if you've seen it. I forgot his name. He makes a 1080p of that and Return of the Living Dead 2. So I just picked that up last week. It came in the mail, but I haven't had a chance to pop it in. But I will get to it.
It's a cool sequel. I think it skipped the theaters. I think it planned on having a theatrical release, but then went direct to DVD or direct to video at the time. And but it's interesting because at least a few characters come back, and their practical effects. The pacing's a little off, but it works. It's a good follow up. I won't spoil anything. Just the reason I love that one is because the first Fangoria I ever bought had the fucking vampire from Fright Night 2 on it. And so I couldn't wait to see that movie because just from like having that first Fangoria in my hands, I read it cover to cover and I said, I've got to see this movie. So the movie was a little bit of a letdown because I had such this weird expectation of what it was going to be. Mm-hmm. And then that vampire in the front doesn't even look as cool as the picture on the cover of Fangoria.
Let me ask you, do they explore the do they explore the mythology at all anymore? Like as far as vampires and stuff like that, or is it just kind of similar?
I'm going by memory. I'm going by memory now because it's been a long time since I saw it. I think they explore other avenues, but whether that makes sense or not, like ultimately, I could give you the basis if like you were to read the back of a cover without, so I don't think it's a spoiler if you want me to, but I mean, ultimately, I won't in case you don't want me to say anything, but there are things that happen in like a character eats bugs, which funny enough is kind of like, something from, that sidekick that was in Dracula. I can't remember his name, Max, or the lover that goes crazy after Jonathan, the character Jonathan
Harker.
Yeah, and then so there's a character like that, but he's not crazy. Just that's one of his traits.
Right.
So they go into that kind of, whether it's mythology or whether those are just little love notes again back to the original source material.
Right.
Interesting, but worth checking out for sure.
Right. I did see the remake with Colin Farrell and the late Anton Yelchin.
Yeah, what'd you think?
You know me, horror, Hollywood horror, right? I actually better than expected. Definitely better than expected. Nowhere, can't touch the first one, but I was, it was definitely a nice like Sunday hungover horror movie, or like a late night, just pop it on if you fall asleep watching it, no big deal kind of flick,
Yeah, that's what I
think
thought.
It's a nice one and done, just to see the homage paid to the original and the little change ups they made, but yeah, I thought that it worked, in my opinion.
So we watched that as a family, and my daughter says, "Hey, this is a ripoff of Disturbia." So it's funny that Jim brought that up earlier. That Disturbia was a total copy of Fright Night because that's exactly what she said. And I wanted to say it, but then we got onto something else, and that was the first thing she says. She goes, "This is like that Disturbia movie you guys showed me, but with a vampire." I'm like, "Yeah, well, there you go."
Oh man, yeah. I mean, hey, it's all recycled and jumbled up, And speaking of recycled and jumbled up, our next movie, we'll get to that in a bit. But Fright Night, a classic, definitely one of a kind. I think, and like I said earlier, like, how do we make a vampire movie not the same as everything that's been done? And they really, I guess, honed in on that whole like Breakfast Club, John Hughes, like 80s comedy, not just comedy, because there's a lot of drama involved, and this movie does have the comedy drama aspect to it. So it takes that, mixes it with horror. I'm not too familiar with Tom Holland's other work. Do you guys know offhand?
Child's Play.
Thinner. Nice.
Those are the only two that I can think of. Oh, he did The Langoliers or something like that. A TV Stephen King miniseries, which was dreadful, if I remember, again, going by memory.
Shit. It's time to go on Wikipedia. Oh, Tom Holland, actor? No, not the same person.
He lives in Poughkeepsie, New York. You can go over and see him.
There you go.
Cool, dude. Yeah, man. So
he actually
okay.
He actually did
fucking Child's Play, huh?
I gotta tell you, I'm not a Chucky fan. I actually like Curse of Chucky the best out of all of them.
I think that's my second favorite. I was really impressed with that one. All right, he does Fright Night too. Now I'm excited to watch it. I love when like the original guy sticks with it,
He directed.
And he did the remake. No wonder why the remake was so good.
No, he didn't direct.
Writing standpoint, I think. Yeah.
He did the story for it. So hey, it's nice. Whenever I see like written and directed by, boom, I always get hyped because it's like, when especially in the world, and that's, I hate to be jumping around like a lunatic, and that's one of the things I don't like about the whole Hollywood filmmaking process. I'm the director and writer, and I do this movie, and then you get it, and then this guy gets it, and there's 5 other people get it and tell me that I have to cut this, that, and the other thing, and can't have this, that, or that, you know? Where when you DIY and make no money,
Yeah.
you get to do it the way you want, right?
Yeah, your vision is good. Hey, I just read today, right before we got on, actually, that the Star Wars Han Solo movie, they fired the 2 directors.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like becoming a trend. The movie's been shooting since January, and it was almost done for the sounds of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Crazy.
only a matter of time before Star Wars movies start to suck.
Again.
Again.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't even want to think about it, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a fan still, but not of the George Lucas prequels. I just can't. I try. I give him a chance. I can't get into it. I don't want to get on a whole tangent because I know we're getting off course here, and that's a whole different show. But I mean, yeah, Jesus. I just it's a whole. That world is not one. The original 3 and the last 2 have been great. I really enjoyed them.
It's like, dude, you're taking an hour to talk about fucking the trade routes of the Federation. Like, let's get into the fucking action here.
Joey, you took me away from one geeky. I don't want to start another one.
Sorry.
Why? This is not a geeky podcast.
We'll talk Star Trek. Which I know nothing of.
No, me either. I want to know. I just, I don't. So we'll have to start that podcast then, Christian. Star Trek.
I'll have to start watching it. Star Wars, I could talk to you all day. But
the Star Podcast. But anyway, let's rate this bad boy and give our final comments, and then we'll move on to Night of the Creeps. And that's the beauty of, you never know where the conversation is going to go. And I don't mind going off topic as long as it's something, like when we talk about the CGI. Yeah, it's not fucking, the exact topic, but it pertains to the genre. And of course, it's part of the entity. Then we start talking about Star Wars. Jim don't like it. Now we got to get back on track.
Sorry, Jim.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So
I always say time and place. I'm a Star Wars fan, but I say time and place.
There's a time and a place in space. All right. So final comments here. I'll give mine first. I didn't see this like 25 times, but I've probably seen this about, I'd say 8 to 10 times in my life. Definitely one that was on a lot more back in the day when I was younger. Coming at it now, it's been, I'd probably say, a good 5 years. I remember I watched it once when I first moved out of my mother's house. That was about 6 years ago. So that was the last time I watched it before this. And I remember watching it then being like, hey, this is good. But this time I really like looking at the writing, looking at the cinematography, the way, not just cinematography, but more, I think, the set design and staging and things like that. Like the way his room looks, right? The way the club looked, the way his pale room looked for, what's his face? Fungal Peter Jackson, whatever his name is, you know what I'm talking about. Peter Vincent. Like, like his room was like bland and empty and was basically like a parallel to who he was, and not his on-screen character, but who he was as a person. And I don't want to get too Joey and into these kind of things, but I could sit here and start talking about that kind of stuff. Ultimately, there's things to look at here. It's not just on the screen for story's sake, but I think there's definitely more beneath the surface. Not that much, not as far as the dude in the article wrote, but definitely not just homage to past things, but again, a great story, a great it's just altogether great, bro. 4.5 out of 5 on my behalf. I think because of the issue with Billy not explaining exactly why he could walk in today. I think it's coming to me. They give like a one line where it's like some of them could walk in today, but I think I remember saying to myself that how come the other guy can't, but his underling can. Anyway, I don't want to go down that road too far, but ultimately, one of a kind vampire film, 4.5 out of 5 zombie heads. Christian, let's see what you got.
Okay, I've watched this a lot. I watched it a lot as a kid. Admittedly, it's been a few years, maybe 2-3 years since I watched it last, but this was a great watch. Again with the fam, and I would say that this was a 10 out of 10 back in the day. But I was trying to be a little bit more constructive with my rating, and I think I agree with you. 4.5 out of 5 zombie heads makes perfect sense, and the reason for that is more along the lines of I've got to show some difference between the all-time classics like The Thing and Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and all the ones that I put up there on that pedestal and everything else, and it's almost there, but it's not quite at that same level. So I think that beautiful. 4.5 is beautiful.
Well put. And lastly, Jimmy Babes, what do we got?
4 out of 5 zombie heads.
Short and sweet.
Now I feel very long.
This is definitely this was definitely one of the movies I would say ever made, I guess. It's a mistake, I think, would be not knowing why he can walk in the daytime. There you go. Good job. Maybe there's a scene that was cut out. You know, a lot of these movies cut out a lot of stuff back in the day to save time and whatnot. Like I said, love the effects, love the story. Acting is good. The comedy wasn't really comedy, but there was enough you chuckle a little bit to appreciate it. It wasn't boring at all. Yeah, and a lot of movies we know now of taking away from this film. Imitation is a serious form of flattery. Obviously, this film has a lot of imitation with the. Definitely deserves a 4 out of 5 across the board.
All right.
Cool.
That brings our first feature to a close. Sorry. All right. So before we head on into our last film for discussion, we're going to take a quick word from... Okay. So up next is the 1986 sci-fi horror comedy Night of the Creeps. We forgot to do this for the last movie, but Jim,
I forget, didn't I?
We forgot, right?
I'm gonna be ready right now.
Because it's like Fright Night.
Those movies that we all know very well. We tend to usually forget, but this next one, Night of the Creeps from 1986, I believe that your average Joe wouldn't have sat and watched. But anyway, it says here, alien brain parasites entering humans through the mouth turn their host into a killing zombie. Fight against them. So
that's it.
That's it.
That's
it.
That totally fits that movie, I guess.
Yeah. By Fred Decker. So this is another written and directed movie that we 2 in a row. So that's pretty good.
Yes. Pre-Monster Squad.
Mr. Tom Atkins from Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Yeah. Edit.
And Jason Lively from National Lampoon's European Vacation.
So,
and
the Creeps.
And you watch Mama's Family. Bubba from Mama's Family is in this also.
Bubba baby. So, I actually watched this movie on Shudder. I think this is the second time I've watched it. First time was probably 15 years ago on a VHS rental at Hollywood or Blockbuster Video. And I remember not liking it back then.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I watched it this time, it was like a whole new movie for me. So I could almost say that this felt like a first watch for me, you know? I know this is definitely one of the classics, but at the same time, it's definitely one of those, I feel like ones that people always heard of, seen on the shelves, didn't pick up, or, you know, like me, saw it back in the day on like, you know, maybe a USA Up All Night viewing, or picked it up once, put it on, you know. I think at that point in my life, like, you know, like John Waters movies, things like that, I totally fucking, you know, just would not look at it and be like, what the fuck, you know? The whole, I guess, camp, right? That's what they call this stuff, campy. Back then, I guess in a horror movie didn't work for me. It's not what I was looking for. Where, you know, looking at this movie now and seeing what they were doing, I mean, this is, you know, I wasn't looking at the meta. Meta. And Fright Night also meta too. I mean, it's funny that we picked both these movies. They kind of go in tandem. Both definitely have metatextual aspects to it. This one more than the other one. But, you know, think about it. I mean, just take a quick step back to Fright Night if you want to take a meta look at it, right? I mean, it was acknowledging everything prior to it, you know. They took everything out of all the vampire stuff except for bringing probably Vlad the Impaler in there, you know. But so, you know, it was aware of that stuff. The fact that they had those cheesy fucking movies on the TV, and they had Fright Night, you know, on the TV in the movie, it was aware of this stuff. So now this movie, same thing, except on a, I think this is like every single fucking trope out of sci-fi horror movies slammed into a fucking movie, man. But the way, like, I never noticed the last names when I saw this movie back in the day of the characters, you know. I didn't realize that shit. Where now watching it and knowing all this shit, it's like, oh, whoa, what's going on here? You know, hold on, let's take a step back. You know, the opening scene with then it goes from, you know, the little fucking guys in the suit to a black and white dropped into a movie. So like, if you put this movie on and you're kind of young, it's a lot going on in a quick fucking 2-minute, 3-minute opening, you know. Well, it's a little more than 2-3 minutes, but I think like 7 minutes is better. Because you never see those aliens again.
Radiance? I'm joking.
Wait, what? You didn't hear me?
No, I heard you. I was just like, you summed up the whole movie, so we might as well just. Yeah.
Sorry, sorry bro.
Hey, from me, I can't even say anything.
Sorry.
No, I'm totally busting your balls. I'm joking.
Bust away. They got a hard casing. Yeah. Fucking
with the opening sequence with the you know, Pepto-Bismol monsters or fuck you want to call them there, it's like
I love it.
You don't know what the hell you're gonna watch. Like, realistically, it's kind of like, what the fuck is this? And then, you know, we cut to, you know, 1959, you know, all this kind of shit. So turns in it, and it jumps up to 1986 and sororities and college, and, you know, pretty much every 80s film, you know, I think most of them had to do with young high school to college students or kids, you know. Yeah, it took a lot of weird turns, and the crazy detective and come together, but definitely took a lot of turns to get to a certain point, I guess.
Wow.
You know what I'm sorry, Chris, before you say
No. I'm just like, I just am surprised by your reactions, truthfully. But anyway,
you know,
that's okay.
I always fucking used to get this movie confused with Night of the Comet.
Oh, that's a dull movie, but I know that has fans too. What does it have? Like 3 zombies in it and a couple girls running around?
A couple chicks with some guns,
Yeah.
packing heat. You know?
People love it. People love that movie. But and this one, well, you have the fans, and then you got people that like kind of look at it like, horror comedy camp. I can't do it. I love this movie out of the gate. I remember renting it. Yeah, those Pepto-Bismol monsters. They're kind of the mouths don't move. They look a little weird, but it was just, again, limited budget. It sets up the movie. Boom, you go to Sorority Row. I love that. I love the transition to that. I love the Starlight, Star Bright. It's like kind of cheesy and put your head on. The Paul Anka comes on the radio. All that shit. I love that shit. And then with the, let's go look for the meteor, and then you hear the warning about the escaped mental patient on the radio, and she turns the headlights on, and it's the Route 66 right by where she's going to be. And then he comes out, chop into her with the axe, and then you cut to Pledge Night. And now we're in, modern time, which is 1986. And yeah, it's a fraternity movie, but then they make you, the great thing about this, in my opinion, is they make you love the two characters. Like, that's what I thought. They actually give the movie heart, and you actually love the two main characters. Like, you could tell they're good friends. You want to talk about, did you read about a homoerotic overtone in this movie? Because the guy with the crutches, you never know. And because he seems to love his friend a lot, but wants him to go all the way with Stephanie K. That's
Is it wrong that I just love you, man?
Yeah. So
I just want to touch your ass.
I love it. Again, nostalgia does play heavily into this, but watching it again here, I'm like, yeah, that's the reason I love this movie. And it's I know it's not for everybody, because we've had these arguments before of the comedy aspect, but Tom fucking Atkins is in it, and he kills it. He's got a lot of great lines. They give him that thrill me line is great. It's Miller time. The good news, your dates are here. The bad news is like all these fucking lines. Get my 12 gauge shotgun now, and like all this shit. Like, there was
one line that he said, and I was like, this shit would never fly now. It was like a line where he was insinuating, and he shoved the fucking thing up the kid's ass. I was like, what the fuck?
Do you want me to play Poop Patrol with my nightstick?
Yeah, do you want me to play Poop Patrol with my nightstick? What the fuck?
And then they reference the movies. Like, what is this? A homicide case or a bad B movie, or whatever. Like, but it's playful like that, and I can see why people would be turned off by it. But I lapped it up, man. I loved it. I always have loved this movie. I think it's the only thing I hate is this fucking cover art for the Blu-ray. Fucking horrible. But yeah, it is. I guess you can see, you throw this in, and you might be thrown for a loop, saying, "What the fuck am I watching?" But I guess my mind back in '86 was totally different, and I was in, and I just thought it was a huge surprise.
Yeah, I mean, watching this now, I thought the storytelling was, I thought the way that they handled it was good. Like the way that they handled the comedy and the horror with the storytelling, it works. It wasn't like a Evil Dead kind of comedy. It was an offbeat, self-aware, let's make fun of B movies while making a solid fucking story out of it with characters that you like. When you see that kid's crutch get kicked, I wanted to go on the screen, take Brett Face's fucking head, and put it in the fucking lawnmower.
The Bradster?
Right? Bradster, whatever the fuck his name is. Like, you were just like, you fuck, like, really, bro? Really? Yeah. And that's how you know. And it's funny because on the commentary of the DVD, he says about what's his name? Not CJ, JC. Is that his name? JC? The friend. Fucking notes. Where's the notes?
Oh, BJ? No, JC, I think you're right.
whatever, the friend, right? They were saying, like, why can't you have a handicapped person in a movie without it being a movie about a handicapped person? Yeah. Kudos to that, Fuck yeah.
Yeah, they really don't make reference. He makes a joke about it. He's like, "Well, tell me about as funny as a crutch," and then he waddles on. But it's great, and they don't ever really play off of that again, other than when he gets the crutch kicked out from underneath them to show how much of a prick that guy is, and the fact that the girl doesn't go with them. The girl's like, "Fuck you," and then that's what sort of brings her over to the guys. And they've got the Night of the Living Dead cat joke and whatever. We're not saying this is perfect. Like the effects in this movie are practical again, and there's some great fucking effects in there. There's also some like the aliens leave a little bit to be desired, but when the heads start, busting open, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shit. What was I gonna say? Fuckity fuckerson. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So the girl, right? Like you said, she ends up going with them. Where like in a movie like Revenge of the Nerds, she just stays with the jocks the whole time, and it's like I want to stab that chick in the face. It's like now I love these people. They're fucking awesome. Like let's go slay some fucking zombies together. I thought that fucking the audio tape was phenomenal. Like I didn't remember that part. Dude, like, because when I seen it in the beginning and they didn't make any mention, I was like, Chekhov's gun is coming out later. And it definitely caught me by surprise. And like that like there's moments in this movie where it's like you're in it, and then all of a sudden the next scene you get fucking Tom Atkins going wild, but it works,
Backstory. The backstory with the fact that he killed the axe-wielding maniac, buried him, the dead mother's house was put on top of it. I thought that was a fucking fantastic bit. And then
that scene when he like explains it.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I love the part where he talks about when he talks to Spanky. I love how he gives him Spanky and then tells him about how he was killed and tells his whole story. Like he's a little crazed, and there's just some really well written parts here. Like Fred Decker did do this in Monster Squad, and Monster Squad's a kid horror movie, but these are two solid flicks in my opinion.
Entertaining, hands down.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for balls out horror with absolutely no comedy to it, you're gonna be upset because this is a lighthearted, like, don't take it personal, Brad, as he sticks a fucking lawnmower into the guy's face. I mean, I love that. I love straight horror, and I love of like this type too, and this is definitely tongue in cheek.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the fact that they're, self-aware doing this, they were doing that kind of stuff like back before in the 70s, Airplane, shit like that. You know what I mean? Spoofy kind of films. But in the horrors, here we go. It's the time of the night, Jim. Horror films really didn't have that kind of, self-aware spoof going in the genre. I might be mistaken, but in the 70s you didn't have any like horror comedy really.
Young Frankenstein, I guess, and like that was a spoof, but like not. I guess it's horror because it's Frankenstein, but I mean, debatable, right? So the cats are calling. Yeah, they want in.
They want in. That's actually my daughter.
Are you on patrol?
So, oh yeah, I'm always on patrol. She wants me in the night. So, but anyway,
there you go.
All right.
Yeah. So Jim, what do you think? Up to you. However you want to do it.
Nah, it's all good. This is a thing that happens all the time. So Jim, tell us about your. I mean, I want to talk about the ending. There's
I don't know
endings. We'll talk about that, but I'd love to hear Jim's take on the film.
Sadly, I wish I would have watched it with more of a home, I guess. In my state of mind at the time, I was very tired and very in and out. But I was trying. It was on, but I definitely did not give it the justice I should have. But I mean, there were parts of it that were good, I think it could have done without. Character is great. It lends that solid type, basically campy film. And then you have, the kids' characters are pretty care about them, I guess. You worry about what's going to happen. You worry about, the friend dynamic, and I do think the sexy girl went to the nerds a little too quickly, but it is what it is. Yeah. It's definitely something I'm going to go back and watch again, just for a personal fact of I should have, and I didn't. So I'm gonna go back and watch it again, but it wasn't. It definitely wasn't a put it that way.
The cryogenics aspect of it, was like I said, this sci-fi too. So now you get a touch of that, right? They bring that into play, and they drop the little Walt Disney fucking line, right?
Yeah, fucking great.
I mean, there's the janitor. A lot of funny
Screaming
parts,
like
man.
banshees.
Yeah.
I say all the time, I'm like a fucking wild banshee, like that's where it came from.
Oh.
I'm not saying screaming like
I just
banshees,
love
but that's definitely where the banshee came from.
When they're interrogating them, the kids, and there, and the cops there, and he's sitting there. What they did, nuts. It's they let out a 27-year-old frozen fucking alien dude, and the dude's like, this is borderline. But I'm like, what? No, this is like a fucking felony.
This is a borderline frat playing. It's the 80s, man. Shit still flied. People weren't so uptight about cadavers.
Take away, scientific, bodies just being frozen for research. But yeah, just, what, your fraternity needs this more than we do.
Yo, do you guys think that the fact that they were named after like horror movie directors made us like these characters more? Don't you just love Cynthia Cronenberg?
That's the most face name when I heard.
Stand too. No, it was one of the first. I mean, it wasn't the first to do it, but it was one of the first. Now you get movies they do them, they're a dime a dozen now, with the references back. But yeah, I think this was back in the time frame. Maybe Joe Dante did it in some of his movies, but that was it. Well, we just had you just pointed out in Fright Night with Peter Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, done. Great.
Yeah, but like that was like, I guess, an 80s thing, like brought into the genre, because again, in the 70s you weren't seeing that kind of stuff really in the genre.
And both movies that we did tonight just have a little bit of tit. Not a lot, but just a little bit, just to tide you over.
Little boob. Let's see. What do you have in the 70s that's a horror comedy?
This is a rare star female character showing some titty.
Yeah, true.
Speaking of female characters, the way they handle the female characters in these two films totally different. Where like basically in the first one, Fright Night, she's just like used to manipulate men. Men use her to manipulate to get their way with each other. Where here she's like, fuck this dude, fuck you, give me a fucking shotgun, let's take these motherfuckers down.
Yeah. She gets lit
up.
About
Brad? Brad's an asshole. Okay.
I'm sorry? Brad what?
I said, she said, Brad. He said when he was asking her, what about Brad? Brad's an asshole. Oh, okay. I know, but
he's an asshole.
Okay, cool.
Don't you love that scene where he's just sitting there as a zombie, she's holding his hand, talking to him, and like the slugs, he's just puking out slugs. That's a visual I will never do again, by the way.
Yeah.
that's live. I don't think I could change that.
Later.
Thank you. And I screwed up things. I'm like, don't take it personal for that. And then he blows his head off or whatever. But it's later, dude, with the lawnmower to the face. But so I could see people hating because everything had a one-liner right in front of it. But I loved it. When Tom Atkins, when he gets attacked by the zombie girl and he looks up and he sees the picture of his girlfriend, his love of his life that died by the hands of the maniac, grabs the gun, and then you see him spinning around the room. Like, it's over the top, but for whatever reason works within the world that they've created in the movie.
Right.
I mean,
And they did
maybe
create
I'm
their
very
own little world.
yeah, and I might be very forgiving. Like they set up the brains in the basement, which is kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like this giant fucking slop of alien brain, whatever that thing was. Practical effects.
Well, that's it, man. You get a lot of practical effects, and most of them happen at the end. But it's good.
And
And
the split axe faces, I think, were fucking awesome. You know,
the den mother,
yeah, and makes perfect sense too for Atkins at the time. Like, this is not an alien; this is an axe to the face, dude.
If you look at some of the, because I've watched, like I said, I watch this movie a lot too, and I remember, I think it's the when they see the guy that dies at the cryogenic chamber, dead on the ground. The camera pans up from the dead body up to them looking at him. You'll just see it's a dummy, a white dummy, just with the makeup, the makeup attached to his head. So, like, because that's all you're looking at. You see a trail of blood, the makeup, and they pan up. But when you actually look closer, it's just they didn't even try to mask it. It's just a literally a white mannequin.
Really?
So on rewatch, you'll notice that.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that guy, he was, I don't remember his name, but he's one of those character actors in a ton of things.
He's a Get Shorty.
The guy with the glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a living corpse anyway. That dude. What about the little animal fucking zombie things?
Oh, the slugs himself, or are you talking about the cat and the dog?
The cat and the dog, yeah. That was pretty cool. You know?
Well, the cat, you get a really good shot. Like obviously you're working with animals, and the cat turns to the camera before looking at her, and you can see the cat's face is totally intact. And then they cut to the close up of like worm out of the eye cat face.
I mean, you know what I thought was interesting? Like, all right, so who's our, antagonist in this film, right? We're talking not fucking Brett Face, but we're talking about reanimated corpses. So I guess zombies to a degree, but yet we're dealing with slugs that lay eggs in your brain. So, what exactly are we dealing with here? I'm not sure, but it's definitely unique. I think there was a movie in the 50s that had like Parasite that was similar to this.
We also had Slither, which is basically identical.
Right. But again, after this, right? But thinking before this, right? Like what, like, I'm just thinking that this is, I think, a unique antagonist here. We have zombies, but the way they got to it.
That's it. It was like a mashup. It was like take a film noir detective movie, a zombie movie, an alien movie, mix it in with a sorority and a like fraternity movie, all mashed into one. And it somehow, in my opinion, not somehow works. It works beautifully. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I'm trying to think of like the actual movies that like with. I don't know if there's anything incubating in your brain, but ultimately, you never know what was happening in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So it could have been something, something like that.
And again, to go back to the horror comedy aspect of things. I mean, in the 70s, you didn't have many. Like you said, you had Young Frankenstein, but then would you have Rocky Horror Picture Show? Some Japanese movie called Jesus, which was House. I never saw that. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Piranha, 78. Love at First Bite in 79. And then you're in the 80s. And what comes in the 80s? You start getting Motel Hell, right? Then what do you get in 81? Evil Dead, American Werewolf in London, right? Now the shit starts getting into that, realm. Creep Show 82, So by the time you get into 84, you have Gremlins, Microwave Massacre, Sleepaway Camp, 85, Reanimator, The Stuff. So
Return of the Living Dead, of course.
Return of the Living Dead, of course. Once Bitten.
Once
Jim
fucking
Carrey.
Oh shit.
Canadian.
I remember. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just said you said Jim Carrey, right? So that was Jim Carrey was in that, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah. I remember, I rented the movie and just being like blown away that Jim Carrey was in a movie before Ace Ventura. Because like I was a kid, bro. I was like probably like 8 or fucking something like that. 9. And like then by the 80s, the list just goes on and on of, from Chopping Mall to the Class of Nukem High, Night of the Creeps, freaking Texas 2, and the list goes on, So like that comedy factor, what did we have earlier? Abbott and Costello in the 40s and 50s, but that's all you really had. 60s, Little Shop of Horror came out, and a couple of little things, Hillbillies in a Haunted House, right? But I mean, ultimately, it really started in the 80s, man. Cool. We established some history.
Well, yeah, there's definitely a ton more. And I actually embraced them. Some people hate horror comedies. I mean, there are shit ones and there are good ones too. And I think this is a perfect example of one of the best. Return of the Living Dead's another one for me. Because I love zombie movies. So I love Romero's zombie films. And then I loved what 85 really had to offer from a zombie standpoint. And then on this one in 86. So like, yeah, I for me, I had no problem with Reanimator, Return of the Living Dead, or Night of the Creeps.
Reanimator, love it, love it, love it. And the problem I think with the horror comedy is A, it's hard to execute, to really make a horror comedy successful. And B, especially in like the later part of the 90s and into the 2000s, there's just so many fucking terrible horror comedies. The fact that it's a bad horror comedy and then has horrible production value, it's just like a double whammy, and then you get lumped into all horror comedies being sucky,
True. Just like slasher films, kind of, as much as I'm a slasher film fan, fucked horror for a long time too, because it just became the lowest common denominator. Everybody and their fucking uncle was making them with a bit of cash, tax write-off, whatever it may be, and you got some good stuff out of that, but mostly schlock.
Right.
Some of that schlock people have gravitated towards and collect them and love them because they happen to be part of that slasher craze. But at the end of the day, it's still just a fucking turd. But there's some people that just love them, but there's some shit out there. And being a horror fan, you kind of you wade through that. I love a lot of slasher films, but I still will say, I don't think Don't Go in the Woods is a piece of shit. But I'll watch it for a laugh. But to say it's a good movie, come on.
Right.
But yeah, again, I do this all the time. We're going off topic. In a sense, you're.
Can't hear you there, Chief.
Yeah. He's gone again. So profound. Every time he has something profound to say, his mic goes off.
Yeah.
Hello?
He touches the.
Hi.
Unbelievable. Unreal.
I said I went off topic again, going on slashers and everything else. But I guess it's really just more talking about horror and how the horror comedy killed the genre for some. But I still say there's really good stuff. Hey, I don't know what your thoughts on Shaun of the Dead are, guys, but it got us to Shaun of the Dead.
Fantastic.
It's one of the best.
Love it. Jim?
What?
Shaun of the Dead. You here? You talking with us tonight or what?
Yeah, I love it, man. Love Shaun of the Dead.
Some chick texting you or something?
No, no show research. We discussed that a while back, but yeah, it's one of them. Yeah, that's definitely a smart zombie, funny. It's a good film. That's definitely one of them ones where people just seem to love for some reason. They gravitate towards it.
Unless you're on the 22 Shots podcast, they hate that movie for whatever reason or give it a low rated, but they're fucking crazy because that movie is one of the best examples of a comedy horror film. And it seems like the best comedy horror films happen to be zombie films. When you break it down.
You know what I just watched recently? Not a zombie film, but horror comedy, Dale and Tucker versus Evil.
Woo! Yeah.
Yo, I always stayed away from it because I was like, that's fucking a stupid horror comedy. It's going to fucking be one of these cheesy movies. And I gave it, I think, a strong 4 out of 5. You know?
Yeah. That was a fun movie, too.
Great.
Yeah.
It was great, man.
They're likable. Again, well made, gory, fun. Yep. It's fun and funny. Like, I mean, if you're going to be a comedy, have some, actual laugh out loud moments.
Right.
So,
yeah. And that's it, man. I mean, this definitely helped pave the way for horror comedy genre, without a
whether
doubt.
you love it or hate it. But
whether you love it or hate it.
Yeah.
Because I think Dave is not a fan of the horror comedy.
No, and this is I'm very high on this movie, so I mean I can see why some people may not like it, but I've always thought that this was a perfect horror comedy, perfect example of it, and a good zombie movie on top of it, unique in a sense. But yeah, there are people out there that just don't like them because then you got Return of the Living Dead 2, which is garbage, but I still like it. I still laugh when I watch that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that it has some merit. It's pales in comparison to the original one. But that's what happened. You have the bar up here, and then you get Bud the Chud.
Right.
And he's there. And you get all
I just saw Chud recently too, for the first time. And I just seen what was the one you just said before that?
Bud the Chud 2?
No, before Bud the Chud, another movie you mentioned.
Or Return of the Living Dead 2, I said.
I've seen Return of the Living Dead for the first time. Always stayed away from that. I was like, fuck that. I'm a Romero guy. And I got the Blu-ray and it was fucking great, man. But that's the thing. I've always wanted what I wanted. Like I would watch Phantasm 3 50 times and watch the same shit over and over when I was younger rather than like exploring more. You know what I mean?
I did the same. But there's less to explore with or less options at the time. Now you can get things on Shudder, you can get mail order, you can get them downloaded, whatever it may be. You've got all these other avenues, whereas before you had to hope that Midnight Video in Orlando was going to ship the shit out to you after you sent down your hard-earned money, and then you're just hoping that you're going to get those VHS tapes. Now we've got a lot more access.
You're like Mike, you guys would like fucking look in the magazine, see a little fucking ad, send your money to the dude, hope they fucking send it back, trade with people and shit, right?
That's how
it was.
That's how I saw Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox, Necromantic 1 and 2. I wish I could take back those two, but some people love those movies. But
he said the same thing with Necromantic on that episode. He's like, I fucking found it in the back of a magazine, sent out for it. I got it. Told my buddies, come on, let's watch this fucking movie. They caught a fucking rise out of it,
Yeah, and I could go on and on and on, guys. That's what I do. I ramble on. I could talk horror, and we could go on all these different tangents. But I won't bore you with it because I know that this is supposed to be focused on the show.
Well, that's our show, baby. Slice and Dice. We're all about random fucking shit. You never know what could happen on Slice and Dice.
Well, I'm glad.
Somebody might take the top off.
Jim? Yeah, there we go.
Plus, Jim, you're not drinking tonight, right?
I am not.
So this is a sober episode.
Yeah,
water. If you look back, I can literally listen to all 22 episodes now, and I could pull out the ones where I was sober, and it's usually the very quiet, relaxed, you know.
I actually learned to like control my swearing on the podcast to a degree. Like,
Fuck that.
Rather, no, I don't mean like not using it. I mean like just saying fucking shit like that. Shit like that, you know? Like the first episode that I did ever, it's constant fuck. I was like, whoa, holy shit. I know I'm from Brooklyn, I curse a lot, but it was a lot.
Yeah. I think we all had those. Yeah. Oh well. That's character.
Well, hey, you know, it is what it is. We are who we are. We be who we be, you know?
Exactly.
Just like Night of the Creeps will be what it is. And speaking of, so shall we give our final thoughts? Call it a night?
I think I blew my load. I love this movie. Watched it a ton of times. Like I said, the only downfall to me is I got to go get like the European cover to the Blu-ray. This may be a shocker for you guys, but that's why I want to be on the show. This is a 5 zombie head movie.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
5 out of 5 from Night of the Creeps, huh?
Yeah. That's it, man.
Jimmy?
Wow. Okay. Kind of threw me for a loop there. I think we only have what? One of the 22 episodes we've done that were, and we used to do three. We did 3 movies a show sometimes, where somebody picked 5. 3 out of 5 for me. Like I said, I'm gonna watch it again. I watch usually, you know, I go with my gut. First recent watch for a while, and I went with my gut on it. And yeah, it's an average, funny, campy 80s film. So yeah, 3 out of 5 I think is fair.
All right. I think I'm right in between the two of you with a 4 out of 5. Although at times, you know, it's like you could catch yourself looking at your phone. I think it's because of the fun part of it. You know, it's not a serious movie. You can have fun with it. You can watch it with your friends. You can rewatch it. And I think an important part of it is the historical standpoint. It definitely was a pioneer in the horror comedy genre. You know, that Tom Atkins role, it's great. One of a kind, you know. What could I say? What else can I say that I didn't say already? Just hit the rewind button. Before the kid wakes up. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Christian, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, guys. I'm so sorry that I ramble on, but
nah, dude.
Thanks for putting up with it.
What, are you kidding me? We had Watson on here, bro.
Well,
I think Jim said 2 sentences the whole episode.
I got to dumb it down a little bit then.
Got to keep up.
He gets right in there, eh?
Oh boy. All right. Well, Jimmy, any last comments for our listeners before we run down the next episode?
This was a fun one. I enjoyed both of these films, and these are the kind of shows that I actually, you know, giddy up. So let's just keep it going.
No,
let's get some
Spanish
good movies,
dramas.
I was actually, you know what's funny as shit? I played the outro, but fuck it. You know what's funny as shit is I was the one page I think me and Joey are on Facebook. It's like Horror Everything, I think it's called. There's somebody posted a picture of Chuck Norris' Silent Rage. Of this movie so much, I'm like, motherfucker. On the show, we're like, yeah, this is like that's not. No, you don't
There's
post that.
That wasn't meant to be.
That's one of the shit slashers. But it gets a blue release or something like that, and all of a sudden, all these fans come out of the woodwork. You're like, this movie sucks balls.
Yeah, yeah.
They
were surprised that I gave it a low rating. I was like, this was fucking Chuck Vanilla. This wasn't Chuck Norris. This guy was fucking more bland than a vanilla custard. You kidding me?
Oh man, it's crazy though. But yeah, that's it. Something gets announced on Blue, and then you see people go crazy for it. And like, just because it's on Blu-ray doesn't make it good, guys.
Especially these boutique fucking DVDs, man. I was in before we go. I was in Best Buy, right, and I saw The Gate. I was like, "Holy shit! I haven't seen The Gate, and forget about it. This is perfect for Gianna." Yo, $29.99. I was like, "What are you fucking crazy?"
Yeah.
I could have gone on the Cody for it, but I like to have things. So I went on. I got the DVD for $7 on Amazon. I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna spend $30 on this Blu-ray right now.
Absolutely.
I might watch it once with her, and she might not like it. And what do I watch it? Maybe once or twice more in my life or something. It's not like I'm putting The Gate on all the time,
I put that on. It's a PG movie, and my wife got mad at me because she said, "This is way more adult." I'm like, "They've watched fucking Scream, and you're worried about The Gate." But it's Canadian, so support Canadian cinema.
Gotta love that Canadian cinema. Ginger snaps. What else? All the Cronenberg stuff.
Everything Cronenberg, man. American Mary, The Editor,
American Mary,
The Void.
The Void. Hey, you never know. I told Jason Lloyd, dude, Horrorphilia Pictures. Let's go.
I'm telling you, that would be awesome.
10 of us.
Yeah.
Kicking some scarol, get a script, and make a movie, bro.
That's
you
it.
Never know. You got to be in the mix.
The Editor was a budget of like 135. I mean, I'm not saying I've got that in the over here in the back, but I'm saying that's nothing comparatively. And that movie looked great.
Right.
I mean, for that genre style. But once again, that's me going off topic, boys.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys again
for the
having
show.
me.
So this is free reign, of course.
That's great.
And speaking of budgets, fucking Fright Night, 9 million turns around, I think 27 or 24. And on the other hand, Night of the Creeps, not sure, I think the budget was double digits, maybe 10 or something, but turns a $500,000 fucking talk about a flop, right?
I don't even remember it hitting the theaters. I really don't remember that hitting theaters, but I think it became a cult classic over time.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
A lot of rentals.
I remember this was one of those movies that was always on like fucking USA at Night, Monster Vision, like always syndicated on basic cable. But fun stuff there. Definitely recommend if you haven't seen it. So
oh yeah, I blew it.
These films.
Did you guys see the ending with the director's cut ending with
yes,
coming out, falling down, the head opening, and then the big spaceship looking through the graveyard? Because the one I grew up with always had the old ending. I only saw that ending when it was on TV one time, like one of those marathons that you were talking about. But the old ending was the dog. They looked into the dog and a slug shoots out of the dog's mouth.
Right
at the camera.
The one I watched was a spaceship coming through at the end.
Yeah.
And that's the one that Decker says is the true ending.
Yeah, that was his. The dog was like a shock ending for that the studio wanted or something. Right,
exactly. Oh, fucking Hollywood.
There you go again.
Hey, what can I say? Time is limited. You can only have so much time to watch film. So gotta pick and choose. Like, I was up from 5:30 all day, when the movies come on, when I'm driving, anytime I could squeeze it in, It's not like I'm fucking sitting in front of the boob tube all day, as much as I'd love to.
Yeah. Full-time job.
Work, writing, podcasting, it takes time, man.
It does.
So, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure having you on, Christian.
Thanks
on next episode, we're going to have the Don Anelli on. We're going to talk about
Pantera.
I can't talk. We'll talk about Pantera. We'll talk about Mario Bava's Black Sunday and Lucio Fulci's Don't Torture a Duckling. So
I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah. And check out Exploding Heads. Check out Thank God It's Friday the 13th podcasts, also on the Horrorphilia Network. And Jim and I will be back next Tuesday night, live and naked. So we'll see you then.
Yeah. Thanks again, boys.
All right.
Later, guys.